My husband brought his affair partner to the hospital room where I was delivering our stillborn daughter and told me this was God's way of punishing me for being too ghetto to raise his child. I should have known something was wrong when Marcus didn't answer my calls. I'd been at the hospital for 6 hours, 6 hours of induced labor, knowing my baby girl had no heartbeat, knowing I was about to give birth to silence. The doctor had found it 2 days earlier, doing what was supposed to be a routine checkup at 37 weeks. "I'm not finding a heartbeat, Mrs. Patterson," she'd said, her voice carefully neutral in that way medical professionals do when they're delivering devastating news. "Let me get the ultrasound machine." I'd laid there on that crinkly paper, my hand on my swollen belly, feeling my daughter, who I'd named Amara, who I'd decorated a nursery for, who I'd sung to every night, who was just gone. No explanation, no warning. Just gone. Marcus had been in a meeting when I called him from the doctor's office. "Can this wait?" he'd asked, annoyed. "I'm presenting to the board in 10 minutes. That should have been my first clue. What kind of man says that to his wife calling from the doctor's office at 37 weeks pregnant? But I was in shock, couldn't form words properly, just said, "The baby, Marcus, the baby." And he'd gone quiet, then said, "I'll meet you at home." He hadn't. He'd come home at 11 p.m., smelling like expensive perfume that wasn't mine. And when I told him our daughter was dead, that I had to go in for induced labor in 2 days, he just nodded. Didn't cry, didn't hold me, just said, "These things happen, Keisha. Maybe it's for the best." For the best? Our daughter dying was for the best? I'd stared at him like he was a stranger, because he was becoming one. Now I was here, in this hospital room, the epidural making my lower body numb while my heart shattered into pieces. My mama was on her way from Atlanta, 3 hours out. My sister Tanya was in the cafeteria getting me water I couldn't drink, trying to hold herself together for my sake. And Marcus was nowhere. I called him again. It rang 4 times. "Keisha, I'm almost there. Traffic is bad." Traffic. Our daughter was dead inside me. I was about to go through labor and delivery for a baby I'd never hear cry, and he was talking about traffic. "Marcus, I need you. Please. They're saying it's time to start pushing soon." My voice cracked. The nurse, an older black woman named Loretta, squeezed my hand. She'd been my angel through this whole nightmare. I said, "I'm coming. Don't be so dramatic about everything." He hung up. Dramatic. I was being dramatic about delivering our dead child. 30 minutes later, he walked in. I looked up, relief flooding through me despite everything. I needed him. Needed my husband. Needed the man who'd promised to love me through better or worse. He wasn't alone. There was a woman with him, white, blonde, maybe 32, wearing cream-colored linen pants and a silk blouse, like she was heading to brunch, not a hospital delivery room. She had her hand on his arm. That possessive touch I knew too well because it used to be my touch. "Marcus?" My voice came out small, confused. "Who? What?" "Keisha, this is Rebecca," he said. His voice, cold, formal, like he was introducing colleagues at a networking event. "She's here to support me through this difficult time." Support him. Loretta stood up so fast, her chair scraped the floor. "Sir, I'm going to need you to explain what's happening here. This is highly inappropriate." "This is my wife," Marcus said, gesturing at me like I was a disappointing purchase he was returning. "And this is Rebecca. She has every right to be here." "The hell she does!" Tanya's voice came from the doorway. She'd returned with my water, and her face was pure fury. "Get that woman out of here right now, Marcus, or I swear to God." "You'll what?" Marcus turned on her, his face twisted with contempt. "Make a scene? Act ghetto like your sister? This is exactly why this happened." The room went silent. "What did you just say?" I whispered. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Disgust. Pure, unfiltered disgust. "This is God's way, Keisha. Don't you see? You were never meant to be a mother. Not with the way you are. Too loud, too urban, too much of everything wrong. Rebecca and I, he put his hand on her stomach, and that's when I saw it. The small swell under her silk blouse. We're having a baby. A child who'll be raised right, with class, with dignity. Not in some hood environment with your ratchet family teaching them to be just like you. The monitor next to me started beeping faster, my blood pressure spiking. Loretta moved toward the call button. "You're pregnant?" The words felt like glass coming out of my mouth. Rebecca spoke for the first time, her voice soft, sympathetic in that weaponized way white women do. "I'm so sorry you're going through this. I really am. But Marcus and we've been together for over 2 years, and our baby is healthy, due in 4 weeks. Maybe this is just nature's way." Nature's way. My baby girl was dead inside me. I was about to push her lifeless body out, and this woman was calling it nature's way while pregnant with my husband's child? "Get out." Tanya's voice was deadly calm. "Both of you, get the hell out right now." "I have every right to be here," Marcus said. "This is my child too." "Was," I heard myself say. "Was your child? And you killed her. You and your hate killed her." The contractions were coming harder now. Dr. Morrison, a black woman in her 50s who'd rushed in when Loretta hit the call button, stood between Marcus and my bed like a shield. "Sir, you need to leave. Now. Security is on the way." Her voice had that steel that only black women who've had to fight their way through medical school possess. Marcus's face flushed. "You can't kick me out. I'm her husband. And I'm her doctor. This patient is in active labor in an already traumatic situation. You and your guest are causing her blood pressure to spike to dangerous levels. You're a medical liability. Leave voluntarily or be escorted out." Rebecca tugged on his arm. "Marcus, let's just go. We can deal with this later." "Fine." He straightened his suit jacket, that expensive Tom Ford one he'd bought after his promotion to senior partner at the law firm. "But Keisha, you need to understand something. This baby dying, that's on you. Your stress, your attitude, your ghetto lifestyle." Rebecca takes prenatal yoga, eats organic, meditates. She's doing everything right. That's why our baby is thriving. I felt something break inside me that had nothing to do with my body preparing to deliver death. "Get out!" Tanya screamed, lunging toward him. Dr. Morrison and Loretta held her back. "Get out before I kill you myself." Security arrived then, 2 large men who escorted Marcus and Rebecca out. I could hear him in the hallway, playing victim. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The drama, the violence. My child is better off without that influence. Then there was only pain. Physical pain as my body pushed. Emotional pain as I realized I was doing this without him. The man who'd held my hand through 2 previous miscarriages, who'd promised we'd get through anything together, had just brought his pregnant mistress to watch me deliver our dead daughter and told me I deserved it for being too black, too hood, too much of everything he'd decided he was ashamed of. "Keisha, honey, I need you to focus." Dr. Morrison's face was close to mine. "I know what just happened was traumatic beyond words. But your baby girl needs you to bring her into this world with love, not hate. Can you do that for her?" I nodded, tears streaming down my face. Mama burst through the door then, still in her nursing scrubs from the hospital in Atlanta where she worked. She took one look at the scene, at Tanya's face, at mine, and she knew. "Where is he?" she asked. "Gone," Tanya said. "Gone with his pregnant white girlfriend." Mama's face went through every emotion, rage, grief, murder, before settling on fierce maternal protection. She pushed past everyone and took my hand. "Baby girl, I'm here now. We're going to get through this. You're going to meet your daughter, and she's going to be beautiful, and we're going to love her even though we can't keep her. You hear me?" I pushed. For 40 minutes, I pushed. And at 8:47 p.m. on September 15th, Amara Nicole Patterson came into this world silent. She was perfect. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Full head of dark curly hair. Marcus's nose. My mouth. Her skin was slightly discolored, mottled purple and gray. But her face was peaceful, like she was sleeping. Dr. Morrison cleaned her gently, wrapped her in a soft pink blanket, and placed her in my arms. "Hello, baby girl," I whispered. "Mama's here. Mama's got you." The grief that hit me then was physical, a howling, primal thing that came from somewhere ancient and deep. I held my daughter's body and wailed. Mama held me while I held Amara. Tanya stood at the foot of the bed, sobbing. Loretta cried silently in the corner. We had 2 hours with her. The hospital had a policy. 2 hours to say hello and goodbye, to take pictures if we wanted, to make memories of a life that never got to be lived. Mama bathed her, dressed her in the tiny outfit I'd brought, the one with little butterflies on it. Tanya sang to her, old gospel songs from our childhood. I just held her, memorizing her face, her tiny fingers, her perfect little ears. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "The paperwork for the birth certificate. Leave my name off it. I can't be associated with this situation. My lawyers will contact you about the divorce. Rebecca and I are moving forward with our lives. I suggest you do the same. And Keisha, don't try to make this ugly. Don't go to my firm with your ghetto drama. Handle this with some dignity for once." Another text came through. A photo. Rebecca's ultrasound. "This is what a healthy pregnancy looks like. Maybe if you'd taken better care of yourself, your baby would be alive." Mama saw my face and took my phone. Read the messages. Her face went stone cold. "Give me permission right now to forward these to my phone." "Mama, give me permission. That man just threatened you, blamed you for your baby's death, and sent you a picture of his mistress's ultrasound while you're holding your dead daughter. I'm documenting every damn thing. This is evidence, baby. Evidence of cruelty, of emotional abuse. We're gonna need it." I nodded. Mama was a labor and delivery nurse. She'd seen women destroyed by grief. She'd also seen women who fought back. She was making sure I'd be the latter. When they came to take Amara, I couldn't let go. My arms wouldn't work. Mama had to gently pry my fingers open. "She's not in there anymore, baby. That's just her body. Her spirit, her soul, that's with God now. And she's free. Free from this cruel world that wasn't ready for her beauty. They took my daughter away. I'd never see her physical form again. Just ashes in an urn." The funeral was 4 days later. 4 days of existing in a fog so thick I couldn't see my own hands in front of my face. Mama stayed with me, sleeping in my bed, holding me when I woke up screaming. Tanya took leave from her teaching job to handle the arrangements because I couldn't make decisions about caskets and burial plots for a baby who was supposed to be starting her life, not ending it. Marcus sent his lawyer with papers. Divorce papers, delivered to my house while I was planning our daughter's funeral. The petition cited irreconcilable differences and requested I vacate our home within 60 days. Our home. The one we'd bought together 5 years ago. The one where I'd painted the nursery yellow and cream. Where I'd assembled the crib at 3 months pregnant because I was so excited I couldn't wait. There was a note attached, not from his lawyer, from him, handwritten on his firm's letterhead. "Isha, I need you to understand this isn't personal. I've outgrown this phase of my life. You represent everything I'm trying to move past. Rebecca comes from a good family, old money, connections. She went to Yale. She knows how to move in the circles I'm operating in now. You're a good person, but you're from the hood. Your family is loud and unsophisticated. The way you talk, the way you carry yourself, it's all too urban for where I'm going. I need a partner who elevates me, not one who reminds everyone where I came from. The baby dying is tragic, but maybe it's a sign, a fresh start for both of us. Please don't contest the divorce. I'll be fair with assets, but I need this done quickly. Rebecca and I want to be married before our son is born. Their son. They were having a boy. I read that letter sitting in Amara's nursery, surrounded by things she'd never use. The mobile that played Brahms' lullaby, the books I'd collected, the stuffed animals, and I felt something shift inside me. Not healing, not even close to healing, but a crack in the numbness. And through that crack came rage. Pure, clarifying, burning rage. This man had blamed me for our daughter's death because I was too black, too hood, too much of who I actually was. As if my blackness, my culture, my roots were toxins that poisoned our baby. As if stillbirth was punishment for not being refined enough, white enough, acceptable enough for his new life. I called my best friend, Monica. We'd met at Spelman, been through everything together. She was a therapist now, specializing in trauma. He said, "What?" Her voice went deadly quiet when I told her everything. That God took Amara because I'm too ghetto to be a mother. That Rebecca's baby is healthy because she's classy and does prenatal yoga and eats organic. Keisha, baby, I need you to hear me right now. Are you listening? Yes. Stillbirth has nothing to do with how black you are, how loud your family is, or where you grew up. It has everything to do with medical factors, most of which are beyond anyone's control. And you know what else? Black women have higher rates of stillbirth and maternal mortality because of systemic racism in healthcare, stress from discrimination, and lack of access to quality prenatal care. Not because we're too ghetto, because the medical system fails us. I'd known that intellectually. I worked in HR at a major healthcare company. I'd seen the statistics. But hearing it in that moment, while drowning in grief and self-blame, it hit different. Marcus is projecting his self-hatred onto you, Monica continued, and he's using the most painful moment of your life to justify his betrayal. That's not just cruel, Keisha. That's evil. The funeral was small. My family, close friends from church, some colleagues from work. Marcus didn't come, sent his mother instead, who cried and apologized and said she didn't recognize her son anymore, that this wasn't how she raised him. He's ashamed, Mrs. Patterson whispered to me at the repast. Ashamed of being from Bankhead. Ashamed that his daddy was a janitor and I cleaned houses. When he got into Morehouse on scholarship, then Harvard Law, something changed. He started talking different, acting different. And when he made partner, when he started working with all those white folks at that firm, he just disappeared. My son disappeared. I wanted to comfort her, but I had nothing left. I was hollowed out, empty. I went back to work 2 weeks later. Too soon. Way too soon. But staying home meant drowning in that nursery, in the silence where a baby's cries should have been. My boss, David Chen, called me into his office, my first day back. Keisha, I'm so sorry for your loss. Take all the time you need. I need to work. I need to focus on something else. He nodded, understanding. But by lunch, I knew it was a mistake. People didn't know what to say. They avoided eye contact, whispered. And then I overheard 2 women in the bathroom. Did you hear about Keisha Patterson? Her baby died, and her husband left her for some white woman. I heard he brought the girlfriend to the hospital. Can you imagine? Apparently he said she was too ghetto for him. Girl. The self-hate is real. Well, you know how it is when black men get a little money and success. First thing they do is trade in for a white model. I stood in the stall, frozen, listening to my tragedy become office gossip. That night, I went to my first therapy session. Dr. Amara Washington. Yes, the same name as my daughter. Monica had recommended her specifically. Dr. Washington was a dark-skinned black woman in her 60s, with silver locks and knowing eyes. She didn't make me talk about what happened right away. Instead, she asked, "How are you sleeping?" "I'm not. Eating. When Mama forces me." "And when you close your eyes, what do you see?" Marcus's face when he said God took my baby because I'm too ghetto. Rebecca's stomach. The ultrasound picture he sent me. And Amara. I see my daughter's face, and I wonder if he's right, if I killed her somehow by being too much of who I am. Dr. Washington leaned forward. "Keisha, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to really hear it. What your husband did, what he said, that's called reproductive coercion and racial trauma compounded by grief. He weaponized the most painful experience of your life to justify his betrayal and to make you doubt your worth as a Black woman. That's abuse. Textbook emotional and psychological abuse. But what if, no?" Her voice was firm. "There is no what if. Stillbirth happens to women of every race, every class, every background. But it happens to Black women at twice the rate of white women. You know why? Not because we're too ghetto. Because we face chronic stress from racism. Because doctors don't believe us when we report symptoms. Because the healthcare system was built on the exploitation of Black women's bodies and still treats us as less than. Your daughter's death is a tragedy. It's not a judgment on your worthiness as a mother or as a Black woman." I started crying then, really crying. Not the numb, silent tears I'd been crying, but deep, body-shaking sobs that came from a place of release. Over the next few months, the truth came out in pieces. Marcus's colleague, a Black woman named Jasmine, who'd always been friendly to me at firm events, reached out. "I need to tell you something," she said over coffee. "Marcus has been telling people at the firm that you were unstable, that the marriage was over before the baby died, that you trapped him with the pregnancy. He's rewriting history. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm tired of watching Black men throw Black women under the bus to impress white people. And because you need to know what you're up against. He's positioning himself as the victim." Rebecca plays the sympathetic new girlfriend who saved him from a toxic situation. It's disgusting. I hired a lawyer, a Black woman named Patricia, who'd built her career on complex divorces. She took one look at the texts Marcus sent me in the hospital, and her eyes went cold. "We're going to bury him. Legally speaking, these messages are evidence of extreme cruelty. The fact that he sent you an ultrasound photo while you were holding your stillborn child? A judge will eviscerate him." But the rage that had cracked through my numbness wasn't enough to get me out of bed some days. I'd go to therapy, go to work, go through the motions. But inside, I was disintegrating. I joined a support group for stillbirth mothers, walked into a church basement, and saw 12 women sitting in a circle, all carrying the same haunted look in their eyes. That's where I met Shanice, Tamara, and Joy. All Black women. All who'd lost babies. And all who'd experienced some form of medical racism or dismissal during their pregnancies. "My doctor didn't believe me when I said something felt wrong," Shanice said. "Told me I was being dramatic. By the time they checked, my son's heart had stopped. They made me wait 4 hours in triage, while white women who came in after me got seen immediately," Tamara shared. "My daughter died while I was sitting in that waiting room. We weren't just grieving our babies. We were grieving the system that failed us, the society that devalued Black motherhood, the internalized racism that made men like Marcus look at Black women and see something to be ashamed of." And slowly, painfully, I started to understand that Marcus's cruelty wasn't about me. It was about him. His self-hatred, his desperate need to distance himself from his Blackness by destroying the Black woman who reflected it back to him. But understanding didn't make it hurt less. 6 months after Amara died, I still couldn't go into her nursery. Mama finally came over, Tanya too, and we packed it up together. Every tiny outfit, every book, every dream. We donated most of it to a women's shelter. Kept a few special things. A butterfly outfit she was buried in. I had an identical one. I put it in a memory box with her hospital bracelet, her footprints, the photos we'd taken. She was real, I said, holding the box. She was here, and she was real, and she mattered. Baby girl, Mama said, her voice thick with tears. She was perfect, and none of what happened was your fault. Not her death, not Marcus's evil, none of it. I wanted to believe her. I was trying to believe her. But late at night, when I was alone, Marcus's words still echoed. Too ghetto to be a mother. And I'd wonder if my daughter knew, in whatever way unborn babies know things, that her mother wasn't good enough. That she'd chosen to leave rather than be raised by someone like me. Dr. Washington called it intrusive thoughts, trauma brain, the voice of abuse that had taken up residence in my head. We're going to evict that voice, she said, but it's going to take time and work, hard, painful work. I didn't know if I had it in me, but I'd show up to her office twice a week and try. Because the alternative was letting Marcus win. Letting him destroy not just my marriage, not just my family, but my entire sense of self. And somewhere, deep down, beneath the grief and shame and rage, there was still a woman who remembered who she was before Marcus Patterson decided she wasn't good enough. I just had to find her again. The turning point came 9 months after Amara's death. 9 months. The same amount of time I'd carried her. The symmetry wasn't lost on me. I was in the grocery store, mindlessly pushing a cart through the baby aisle because I still couldn't bring myself to avoid it, when I saw her, Rebecca, very pregnant, glowing in that way everyone says pregnant women glow, touching her belly and smiling at onesies. Our eyes met. She froze. I should have walked away. Washington and I had practiced this. If you see them, you don't engage. You protect your peace and walk away. But I couldn't move. She approached me, cautious, like I might explode. Maybe I would. Keisha, I didn't expect to see you here. It's a grocery store, Rebecca. People shop. She winced. I know, I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. The way things happened, it wasn't right. The way things happened. I repeated her words slowly. You mean when you came to the hospital while I was delivering my dead daughter? When your boyfriend sent me pictures of your ultrasound and told me my baby died because I'm too ghetto? That's what wasn't right? Her face flushed. Marcus was going through a lot. He didn't mean. Don't. My voice cut through the air, sharp enough to draw blood. Don't you dare defend him. Don't minimize what he did. You were there, Rebecca. You stood in that room and watched him destroy me at my most vulnerable moment. You chose to be complicit in that cruelty. I was trying to support him through a difficult time. By flaunting your healthy pregnancy at a woman delivering a stillborn baby, my voice was getting louder. People were staring. I didn't care anymore. Do you understand what you did? Do you have any concept of how evil that was? Tears filled her eyes. We didn't plan for things to happen that way. Marcus said you two were already done, that the marriage was over. We were married, Rebecca. We were having a baby together. A baby he wanted. A baby we'd tried for after 2 miscarriages. We weren't done. He was just done with being black. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Let me tell you what's fair. You get to have your baby. You get to bring a healthy child into this world while I have an urn on my mantle. You get to play house with a man who abandoned his dying daughter because he was too ashamed of her black mother. That's what's fair? Keisha, please. When's your due date? She blinked at the sudden change. 3 weeks. I hope you have a healthy baby. I really do. Because despite everything, no child deserves to suffer. But I also hope you understand something. I stepped closer, my voice dropping to something cold and certain. The man you're having a baby with is broken. He hates himself so much, he had to destroy me to feel superior. And one day, when that baby looks in the mirror and sees his black father's features, when your son asks questions about his heritage, about where he comes from, Marcus is going to have to face everything he tried to erase. And you'll have to watch him. Teach your son to be ashamed of half of who he is. I walked away then, leaving her standing there, with her hand on her belly and tears on her face. I made it to my car before I started shaking. Called Monica immediately. I ran into Rebecca. I said things. A lot of things. Good things or therapy setback things. True things. Painful things. She needed to hear them. Monica was quiet for a moment. How do you feel? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Powerful. For the first time in 9 months, I feel powerful. That night, I did something I'd been avoiding. I Googled Black maternal mortality statistics. Really researched them. The numbers were staggering. Black women in America are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women. Black babies are twice as likely to die in their first year. Stillbirth rates for Black women are double those of white women. This wasn't about being ghetto. This was about systemic racism in healthcare. This was about doctors not believing Black women when they reported pain or complications. This was about chronic stress from discrimination literally affecting pregnancy outcomes. This was about a healthcare system built on the exploitation of Black women's bodies that still, in 2024, treated us as less deserving of care. I started reading everything I could find: medical journals, personal stories, reports from organizations fighting for Black maternal health, and in every story, I saw pieces of my own. Black women being dismissed, being told they were exaggerating, being made to wait while white patients were seen first. I'd gone to every prenatal appointment, followed every rule, done everything right, and my daughter still died. Not because I was too ghetto, but because I was Black in a system that doesn't value Black lives. The rage that realization brought was different from the rage I'd felt before. This wasn't personal anger. This was righteous fury. This was purpose. I called Shanice from the support group. I want to do something about Black maternal health, about the crisis. I don't know what yet, but something. Girl, I've been thinking the same thing. Every time we meet and hear another story about a doctor not listening, about preventable deaths, I think we need to do something. We started meeting outside the support group. Me, Shanice, Tamara, and Joy. 4 Black women who'd lost babies. 4 women who refused to let those deaths be meaningless. We created a foundation, the Amara Foundation, named after my daughter. Our mission: to improve birth outcomes for Black mothers through advocacy, education, and support. We started small, hosting information sessions at Black churches about warning signs during pregnancy, about advocating for yourself in medical settings, about knowing your rights as a patient. We created packets of information about Black maternal health statistics, about how to choose a provider, about doula services. I poured myself into it, every evening after work, every weekend. It was the first thing that made me feel alive since Amara died. My work noticed. David called me in again. Keisha, I've been watching you. The advocacy work you're doing with the Amara Foundation, it's incredible. And I think we can do something here too. Would you be interested in leading an initiative around health equity? Specifically maternal health equity? I stared at him. Are you serious? We're a healthcare company that's been talking about health equity for years without doing much. You have the expertise, the passion, and the lived experience. I'm offering you a promotion. Director of Health Equity Initiatives. You'd build your own team, have real budget, real authority to make changes. I took the job. Suddenly, I had resources, a platform, power to actually influence policy and practice. My first initiative was a comprehensive review of our maternity services, looking at disparities in care, in outcomes, in patient satisfaction scores. The data was damning. Black patients rated their care lower, reported longer wait times, had worse outcomes even when controlling for other factors. I presented to the executive team, "We're failing Black mothers, and it's costing lives. My daughter's death is part of this statistic. How many more before we do something?" They approved every recommendation I made. Implicit bias training for all obstetric staff, patient advocates specifically for high-risk pregnancies, protocols for taking Black women's pain seriously, community health worker programs in predominantly Black neighborhoods. It wouldn't bring Amara back, but it might save someone else's daughter. The Amara Foundation grew. We got a fiscal sponsor, started doing real fundraising. Within 6 months, we'd helped 50 Black mothers access doula services and prenatal care. We'd hosted workshops in 12 churches. We'd started a hotline for pregnant Black women to call when they felt their concerns weren't being heard. And slowly, painfully, I started to heal. Not from the grief, that would always be there, but from the shame, from the lie that I'd killed my daughter by being too Black. I stopped straightening my hair, let my natural curls grow out, started wearing colors again instead of just black and gray. Went back to church where Mother Diane held me while I cried and told me, "Baby, your daughter's death gave birth to a movement. That child's purpose was bigger than this world could hold." My divorce was finalized 1 year after Amara's death. Patricia had fought hard. The judge had read Marcus's messages, had heard testimony about his cruelty in the hospital, and had been appalled. "Mr. Patterson," the judge had said, "I've been on the bench for 23 years, and I've never seen such callous disregard for a spouse's suffering. Your behavior was reprehensible. I got the house, a significant portion of his assets, and a restraining order that kept him from contacting me except through lawyers." He married Rebecca. 3 weeks after our divorce was final, I saw the announcement on social media. She'd had their son, Jackson Marcus Patterson Jr. They looked happy in the photos. The perfect family. I felt nothing. He was a stranger now, a stranger who taught me painful lessons about self-hatred, about internalized racism, about the cost of trying to erase yourself. 2 months after his wedding, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Keisha, it's Mrs. Patterson, Marcus's mother." "Mrs. Patterson, how are you?" "Not good, baby. I need to tell you something about Marcus and that woman." "I don't really need to know. She left him, took the baby and left him. Said she couldn't raise her son with a man who was so full of self-hatred that he'd abandoned his dying daughter." I sat down slowly. "What?" "She found some things, text messages, pictures. She realized he'd still been with you, lying to both of you. And she said the final straw was when the baby was born. Marcus looked at his own son, saw his Black features, and she caught him looking disgusted. Like he was disappointed his baby looked Black. Because he's falling apart, Hammond lost his partnership at the firm. They said his judgment was compromised, that the scandal was too much. He's been calling me, crying, saying he made a mistake, that he destroyed everything for nothing. And you want me to do what exactly?" "Nothing, baby. I don't want you to do anything. You've been through enough. I just wanted you to know, and to tell you that I'm sorry. Sorry for how I raised him to think he needed to be anything other than who he was. Sorry that his shame cost you your daughter and your marriage." We talked for an hour. She told me about raising Marcus in Bankhead, about sacrificing everything to give him opportunities, about watching him slowly erase his roots. "I lost my son long before you did," she said. "He died the day he decided being Black was something to overcome instead of something to celebrate." After we hung up, I sat in Amara's room. I'd turned it into an office for the foundation. Her crib was gone, but her pictures were everywhere. My beautiful brown baby girl. Your daddy's world fell apart, I told her photo. Just like mine did when I lost you. But mine fell apart so it could be rebuilt into something better. His fell apart because it was built on lies. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel happy about his suffering. I just felt sad. Sad for all of us. For Amara, who never got to live. For me, who had to survive. For Marcus, who destroyed himself trying to be someone he wasn't. Even for Rebecca, caught in a situation she probably didn't fully understand until it was too late. But mostly, I felt determined. Determined to make sure my daughter's death meant something. That her brief existence changed the world, even if she never got to see it. The Amara Foundation doubled its reach in the next 6 months. We helped 200 mothers, saved lives, changed policies, made noise. And I started speaking publicly, at medical conferences, at community events, on podcasts, telling my story, not just about losing Amara, but about the systemic failures that contributed to her death, about medical racism, about the Black maternal health crisis. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was fighting back, and it felt like coming home to myself. 18 months after Amara's death, I stood backstage at the National Black Maternal Health Conference in Chicago, adjusting the collar of my burnt orange blazer. My natural hair was styled in elegant twists pulled back from my face. I wore my grandmother's gold earrings, the ones Mama gave me after the funeral, saying, "Let your ancestors' strength carry you." I'd been invited as a keynote speaker, me, Keisha Johnson Patterson. The woman who'd been told she was too ghetto to be a mother was about to address 3,000 healthcare professionals, advocates, and policymakers about the Black maternal health crisis. 5 minutes, Miss Patterson, a stage manager said. My phone buzzed, a text from Mama. Amara is watching over you, baby girl. You make us all proud. Another from Tanya, about to watch the live stream with the whole family. Go show them who you are. One from Monica. You've come so far. Remember when you couldn't get out of bed? Look at you now. I'm in awe. I took a deep breath, touched the small silver pendant around my neck, a butterfly with Amara's birthstone in the center, and whispered, "This is for you, baby girl. Everything I do is for you." The introduction began. Dr. Linda Matthews, the conference organizer, spoke into the microphone. Our next speaker is a woman who turned unimaginable tragedy into transformative action. 18 months ago, Keisha Patterson delivered her stillborn daughter and experienced a betrayal so cruel it would have destroyed most people. Instead, she built something beautiful from the ashes. She's the founder of the Amara Foundation, which has served over 400 Black mothers and counting. She's the director of health equity initiatives at Medicare Solutions, where she's implementing groundbreaking maternal health protocols. She's a voice for the voiceless, a warrior for the forgotten, and a testament to the power of turning pain into purpose. Please welcome Keisha Patterson. The applause was thunderous. I walked onto that stage, looked out at all those faces, brown and Black and beautiful, faces that understood, and felt something shift inside my chest. Not healing exactly, the wound would always be there, but transformation. The scar tissue was becoming armor. 18 months ago, I began, my voice steady and clear. I delivered my daughter Amara in a hospital room where my husband and his pregnant mistress told me that my baby's death was God's punishment for me being too ghetto to be a mother. He said I was too Black, too urban, too hood. He said his new white girlfriend was having a healthy baby because she was refined, classy, the kind of woman who did prenatal yoga and ate organic, the kind of woman who knew her place in his new world. The room went completely silent. I could hear people breathing. I went home that night, held my daughter's ashes and believed him. I believed that somehow my blackness, my culture, my roots had poisoned my baby. I believed that God had looked at me and found me wanting. I believed I deserved to lose her. I paused. Let that sink in. But here's what I learned. Black women in America are 2 to 3 times more likely to experience pregnancy-related deaths than white women. This disparity exists across all income and education levels. Black babies die at twice the rate of white babies in their first year of life. Stillbirth rates for Black women are significantly higher than for white women. This isn't about prenatal yoga or organic food or being refined enough. This is about systemic racism in healthcare. This is about chronic stress from discrimination, literally affecting pregnancy outcomes. This is about doctors not believing us when we say something's wrong. This is about a medical system built on the exploitation of Black bodies that still, in 2025, treats us as less deserving of care, less deserving of life. Heads nodded. Someone called out, "That's right. My daughter didn't die because I'm too Black. She died because the system is too racist." And that distinction matters. Because shame keeps us silent. Shame keeps us accepting substandard care. Shame keeps us believing we deserve less. But when we understand that this is systemic, that this is violence, that this is a crisis, we can fight back. We can demand better. We can save lives. I told them about the Amara Foundation's work, about the mothers we'd helped, the lives we'd saved, the policies we'd changed. I shared data from my company's initiatives, how implicit bias training had reduced disparities in pain management, how patient advocates had improved satisfaction scores and outcomes for Black mothers. But data doesn't capture the human cost, I said. Data doesn't show you what it feels like to hold your dead baby while your husband tells you it's your fault for not being white enough. Data doesn't show you the shame, the self-hatred, the internalized racism that makes Black women doubt their own worth, their own bodies, their own right to survive childbirth. I talked about Marcus then, not by name, but his story. The man who said those things to me was Black. He'd grown up in a working-class Black neighborhood, gone to an HBCU, benefited from affirmative action. But he'd climbed the corporate ladder and decided that his Blackness was a liability. He looked at his Black wife and saw everything he was trying to escape. And when our daughter died, he used it as justification for his self-hatred. He weaponized her death to make me believe I was inferior. My voice cracked slightly. But I'm standing here today to tell you that we are not inferior. Our Blackness is not a disease. Our culture is not a deficit. We are dying at higher rates, not because of who we are, but because of how we're treated. And that can change. That must change. That will change if we fight for it. The applause started then, building like a wave. People standing, some crying, some shouting affirmations. "I will never hold my daughter," I said, my voice strong despite the tears on my face. "I will never hear her laugh, watch her grow, teach her about her heritage. But I will honor her by fighting for every Black mother who comes after me. I will honor her by demanding a healthcare system that values Black lives. I will honor her by refusing to be ashamed of who I am. And I will honor her by telling the truth, even when it's painful, especially when it's painful." I finished my speech to a 5-minute standing ovation. People were openly weeping. The energy in that room was electric, alive with purpose and possibility. Afterward, during the networking session, I was swarmed. Doctors wanting to implement our training at their hospitals, policymakers asking how they could support our work, other mothers who'd lost babies, who'd been dismissed by doctors, who'd been told their pain didn't matter, thanking me for giving voice to their experiences. A young pregnant woman, maybe 25, grabbed my hand. "I'm 32 weeks. My doctor keeps telling me my back pain is normal, but something feels wrong. After hearing you speak, I'm going to demand they check. I'm going to advocate for myself. Yes, I said firmly. Trust your body. Demand to be heard. Your life matters. Your baby's life matters. An older white doctor approached, looking uncomfortable. Miss Patterson, I need to apologize. I've been practicing obstetrics for 30 years, and I never fully understood the impact of my implicit biases. Hearing your story, seeing the data, I realize I've probably dismissed Black women's concerns without even realizing it. I'm committing to doing better. Thank you for being willing to learn. That's all I can ask. But the most surprising approach came from a woman who'd been standing at the back of the room during my speech. She walked up hesitantly, and when I saw her face, my stomach dropped. Rebecca. She looked different, tired, thinner. Her hair wasn't perfectly styled. She was wearing jeans and a simple shirt, not the expensive clothes I'd seen her in before. And she was alone. No baby in sight. Keisha, she said quietly, can we talk? Just for a minute? Every instinct screamed to walk away, but something made me nod. We found a quiet corner. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I needed to come, to hear you speak, to understand. Understand what? What I was part of, what I enabled. She took a shaky breath. Jackson is 9 months old. He's beautiful. He has Marcus's eyes and his skin tone and his hair. And when Marcus looks at him, I can see it. The disgust, the disappointment. Our son looks black, and Marcus can't hide his shame about it. I said nothing, just waited. I left him 3 months ago, took Jackson, and moved back to Connecticut with my parents. I couldn't watch him try to erase our son's heritage the way he tried to erase yours. I couldn't let my son grow up thinking half of who he is something to be ashamed of. Why are you telling me this? Because I need you to know I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. What we did to you was monstrous. I told myself I was supporting Marcus through a difficult time, that your marriage was already over, that I wasn't the villain. But I was. I walked into that hospital room knowing you were delivering a dead baby, and I let him torture you. I was complicit in that cruelty. Tears were streaming down her face now, and I need you to know that you were right. Everything you said to me in that grocery store was right. The man I had a baby with is broken. He hates himself so much that he's teaching our son to hate himself too. Jackson is 9 months old, and Marcus already comments on his hair being too nappy. Talks about fixing it when he's older. He won't let me take him to Black family gatherings. He's already trying to erase our son's blackness. I felt a strange combination of vindication and pity. What do you want from me, Rebecca? Nothing. You don't owe me anything. I just needed you to know that you didn't deserve what happened. That Amara's death wasn't your fault. That everything Marcus said was his sickness, not your truth. And I needed to tell you that your work matters. I've been following the Amara Foundation. The mothers you're helping, the lives you're saving. Your daughter's death is changing the world. That's more than most of us can say about our lives. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. This is a check for the foundation. It's not enough. Nothing will ever be enough, but it's something. I looked at the check. $50,000. I don't want your money. It's not mine. It's Jackson's. His college fund. I want him to grow up knowing that his father's mistakes helped fund something good. That his birth mother tried to make amends for the harm she caused. Please, let me do this one thing. I thought about refusing, about telling her to take her guilt money and leave. But I thought about the mothers we could help with $50,000, the doulas we could train, the programs we could expand. I'll take it, I said finally. Not for you, for the mothers who need it, for the babies we might save. She nodded, crying harder now. Thank you. And Keisha, I'm so sorry about Amara. She should be here. You should be her mother. None of this should have happened. No, it shouldn't have. But it did. And I can either let it destroy me, or I can let it transform me. I chose transformation. Rebecca left then, disappearing back into the crowd. I stood there holding a check for $50,000 from my ex-husband's mistress, and I felt something close to peace. Later that evening, I had dinner with Mama, Tanya, and Monica, who'd all flown in for the speech. We went to a soul food restaurant on the south side, ate until we were stuffed, laughed until we cried. "Baby girl," Mama said, raising her glass of sweet tea, "you have done what I prayed you'd do. You survived. More than survived. You thrived. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and turned it into purpose." "Amara would be so proud," Tanya added. "Her mama is out here changing the world." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. My heart sank, thinking it might be Marcus. But it wasn't. "Miss Patterson, this is Dr. James from Howard University Hospital. I attended your speech today. I'd like to discuss bringing your training program to our hospital. We've lost too many Black mothers. Your work could save lives here. Please call me." Another text came through, then another. Hospitals, clinics, community health centers, all wanting to implement our programs, all ready to do better. I showed the messages to my table. Monica grinned. "You're going national, girl." "We're going national," I corrected. "This isn't just my work. It's ours. All of us who've lost babies, who've been dismissed, who've been told we don't matter. We're building something bigger than any one person." That night, back in my hotel room, I called Mrs. Patterson. Marcus's mother had stayed in touch, checking on me periodically, apologizing for her son's actions. "I saw a video of your speech online," she said. "Keisha, you were magnificent. And I need to tell you something. Marcus saw it too." My stomach tightened. "And?" "He called me crying, said he finally understands what he destroyed. Said he's been in therapy, working on his self-hatred, his internalized racism. Said he'll never forgive himself for what he did to you and Amara." "Good, he shouldn't." "He wanted me to ask if he could reach out to you, to apologize properly." "No, I told him you'd say that, and I told him he doesn't deserve your forgiveness, that some things are too broken to fix." We talked for a while longer. She told me about Jackson, about Rebecca's struggle to protect him from Marcus's self-hatred, about the custody battle that was brewing. "That baby deserves better than a father who's ashamed of him," she said, just like Amara deserved better than a father who was ashamed of her mother. The contractions were coming harder now. Dr. Morrison, a Black woman in her 50s, who'd rushed in when Loretta hit the call button, stood between Marcus and my bed like a shield. "Sir, you need to leave. Now. Security is on the way." Her voice had that steel that only Black women who've had to fight their way through medical school possess. Marcus's face flushed. "You can't kick me out. I'm her husband. And I'm her doctor. This patient is in active labor in an already traumatic situation. You and your guest are causing her blood pressure to spike to dangerous levels. You're a medical liability. Leave voluntarily or be escorted out." Rebecca tugged on his arm. "Marcus, let's just go. We can deal with this later." "Fine." He straightened his suit jacket, that expensive Tom Ford one he'd bought after his promotion to senior partner at the law firm. "But Keisha, you need to understand something. This baby dying, that's on you. Your stress, your attitude, your ghetto lifestyle." Rebecca takes prenatal yoga, eats organic, meditates. She's doing everything right. That's why our baby is thriving. I felt something break inside me that had nothing to do with my body preparing to deliver death. "Get out!" Tanya screamed, lunging toward him. Dr. Morrison and Loretta held her back. "Get out before I kill you myself." Security arrived then, 2 large men who escorted Marcus and Rebecca out. I could hear him in the hallway, playing victim. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The drama, the violence. My child is better off without that influence. Then there was only pain. Physical pain as my body pushed. Emotional pain as I realized I was doing this without him. The man who'd held my hand through 2 previous miscarriages, who'd promised we'd get through anything together, had just brought his pregnant mistress to watch me deliver our dead daughter and told me I deserved it for being too black, too hood, too much of everything he decided he was ashamed of. Keisha, honey, I need you to focus. Dr. Morrison's face was close to mine. I know what just happened was traumatic beyond words, but your baby girl needs you to bring her into this world with love, not hate. Can you do that for her? I nodded, tears streaming down my face. Mama burst through the door then, still in her nursing scrubs from the hospital in Atlanta where she worked. She took one look at the scene, at Tanya's face, at mine, and she knew. "Where is he?" she asked. "Gone," Tanya said. "Gone with his pregnant white girlfriend." Mama's face went through every emotion: rage, grief, murder, before settling on fierce maternal protection. She pushed past everyone and took my hand. "Baby girl, I'm here now. We're going to get through this. You're going to meet your daughter, and she's going to be beautiful, and we're going to love her even though we can't keep her. You hear me?" I pushed. For 40 minutes, I pushed. And at 8:47 p.m. on September 15th, Amara Nicole Patterson came into this world silent. She was perfect. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Full head of dark curly hair. Marcus's nose. My mouth. Her skin was slightly discolored, mottled purple and gray. But her face was peaceful, like she was sleeping. Dr. Morrison cleaned her gently, wrapped her in a soft pink blanket, and placed her in my arms. "Hello, baby girl," I whispered. "Mama's here. Mama's got you." The grief that hit me then was physical, a howling, primal thing that came from somewhere ancient and deep. I held my daughter's body and wailed. Mama held me while I held Amara. Tanya stood at the foot of the bed, sobbing. Loretta cried silently in the corner. We had 2 hours with her. The hospital had a policy. 2 hours to say hello and goodbye, to take pictures if we wanted, to make memories of a life that never got to be lived. Mama bathed her, dressed her in the tiny outfit I'd brought, the one with little butterflies on it. Tanya sang to her, old gospel songs from our childhood. I just held her, memorizing her face, her tiny fingers, her perfect little ears. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. "The paperwork for the birth certificate. Leave my name off it. I can't be associated with this situation. My lawyers will contact you about the divorce. Rebecca and I are moving forward with our lives. I suggest you do the same. And Keisha, don't try to make this ugly. Don't go to my firm with your ghetto drama. Handle this with some dignity for once." Another text came through. A photo. Rebecca's ultrasound. "This is what a healthy pregnancy looks like. Maybe if you'd taken better care of yourself, your baby would be alive." Mama saw my face and took my phone. Read the messages. Her face went stone cold. "Give me permission right now to forward these to my phone." "Mama, give me permission. That man just threatened you, blamed you for your baby's death, and sent you a picture of his mistress's ultrasound while you're holding your dead daughter. I'm documenting every damn thing. This is evidence, baby. Evidence of cruelty, of emotional abuse. We're gonna need it." I nodded. Mama was a labor and delivery nurse. She'd seen women destroyed by grief. She'd also seen women who fought back. She was making sure I'd be the latter. When they came to take Amara, I couldn't let go. My arms wouldn't work. Mama had to gently pry my fingers open. "She's not in there anymore, baby. That's just her body. Her spirit, her soul, that's with God now. And she's free. Free from this cruel world that wasn't ready for her beauty. They took my daughter away. I'd never see her physical form again. Just ashes in an urn.